Let's talk about the Spaghetti Junction. Hi, welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I'm Alan Ng, editor-in-chief at Film Threat, and today we've got a great movie for you. But before we talk to director Kirby McClure about his film Spaghetti Junction, just to remind you that we love independent films, we support independent films, and we talk about independent films all the time. So be sure to visit us at filmthreat.com, buy some merch just to help support us. We got shirts, mugs, all that stuff. And also be sure to like, smash, comment, poke, whatever, just to help give us a little bit of a boost and a little bit of just a little note there that you're out there following us. And with that, let's bring on uh, our guest, Kirby McClure. We're going to talk about your film. You're the director of Spaghetti Junction. And this is a very interesting film. This is what I like about independent films, is that it allows filmmakers to tell their stories that I think the big studios are going to they shy away from, because with Spaghetti Junction, you're definitely taking a risk in the storytelling and more on the kind of the coming of age and the sci-fi aspect of it. But let's just start with you. I was looking at your IMDb, and it looks like in your past you'd done some music videos, and then you made this movie. There's a gap there, and there's, IMDb never gives us a good picture of what happened in that gap. What was your journey to come to Spaghetti Junction?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. So yeah, after music videos and kind of learning the craft and learning about what I wanted to make through music videos and some short films, I had a short film that was more of an experimental film that was at Toronto International Film Festival. And that was cool and kind of opened up some doors and me sort of figuring out more what I wanted to make. And also having kids is something that changed in my life, in the last 5 years or so, that sort of opened me up to wanting to tell more personal stories, like things that could be a little bit more, narrative driven, and explore things from my life that sort of rebubbled up after having kids, and feeling like, I needed to get those stories out, and mixing fantasies and dreams and realities and all of these things kind of together. So basically, I did make a jump, though. I didn't really go the traditional path, I guess, of making several short films and gaining some momentum in that way, and then creating a feature. I did sort of go from one or two small short films and some music videos straight into making a feature, because I guess when I started writing the script, it just felt like it needed to be this whole world, and I couldn't find a way to sort of compress it into a small story. So I just kind of shot for the way I needed it to be, and somehow it came to life.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about writing for your kids. I think there's a Peter Pan element to your story, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was that what you were thinking about when you were writing Spaghetti Junction?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think it does have this like fantastical element to it. And obviously in the context of, August, who's the main character, in her life, she's recently become disabled, and she's dealing with this, horrible kind of accident that happened where she lost her mother and she lost a limb. And now she's trying to cope with her new life, where she can't, do gymnastics and run and sort of be independent anymore. Now she's dependent on family members, and just trying to cope with this new reality. So I think there is that sort of fantasy she's creating in her head, where it is almost like, like Never Land or something like that, where she imagines this world, and maybe it's real and maybe it's not, or maybe she's taking things that actually are happening in her life and just kind of exaggerating them to create this escape from this kind of harsh reality that she's dealing with in this summer, in her life. So yeah, there is that fantastical sort of childlike escape, but then it kind of takes some dark turns.
Yeah, and I think there's also that element of being a teenager, and a lot of it is wanting to be, you're developing your identity, and you're looking for friendships, and you're looking for those, and she's in this position where that's not there, where her father is struggling. I think both father and sister are kind of struggling with their own deal.
Yeah.
And she's kind of been through this tragic event, and now is kind of left off to the side, while all the adults and all her peers are trying to figure their own stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we all are to an extent. But in her life, it has taken this twist into the more fantastical or psychological. I think everybody in the film has an escape in the way that they're dealing with this tragedy that happened, which is this, car accident that happened. So, the father's got alcohol to turn to, and her older sister, August's older sister, she has this kind of boyfriend in his muscle car, kind of souped up, car, and drugs and stuff that those guys are into. But for her, I think she's looking at the people around her, and she's not finding that to be an escape that's deep enough for her to actually kind of avoid these problems and things. And instead, it becomes this imagined one. And I think she's also at this point in her life where she is starting to think about love and romance and that kind of thing. So it all starts to bleed together. She's looking at her sister and her boyfriend in this kind of weird, lustful relationship they have, and she's like starting to feel her own feelings about like, what would I be looking for in a romantic relationship? And I think she just creates this almost like a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing, where she can find this possible, guy who's living in a sewer drain that can be this romantic fantasy that she has in her like teenage mind. So yeah, it's weaving together all of these things of escape and romanticism and a teenage girl's mind and how she's dealing with the world that she lives in.
Yeah, so let's talk about your lead, Kate Hughes, who plays August. So she uses a prosthetic leg.
Yes.
So I guess two things: where'd you find her, and two, was the story written for her, or was this just kind of happenstance?
Happenstance, really, because when I first wrote the script, so the inspiration for the character came from, well, first of all, I had a friend growing up who was like the best skateboarder in our town, and he actually had a prosthetic leg, and he was incredible. But I always wondered about this. It's funny you asked me about the gap kind of in my life or my career, how I got from point A to point B. But I think with him, he was this amazing skateboarder, but I knew there must have been this time after an amputation and getting fitted for a prosthetic and those sort of growing pains and coming to terms with who you are, and then fully embracing that and realizing that you can be even sometimes better by a limitation that's forced upon you. You can overcome it. And, this guy was this incredible skateboarder, and I always wondered, what it was that he went through. So that was something in my mind. And then coming into contact with some amputees that I met here in Atlanta, where I've moved recently, I just started writing the script, and it just kind of came to me mixed with dreams and things from my own personal experience, started coming together. So I wrote this script, and I started going to producers and trying to find, the funds to make this film. And the feedback that I kept getting from producers and financiers and people like that was, why don't you cast a kind of a named actor, someone that could bring an audience, and we can just paint her leg out in post. But for me, that completely defeated the purpose of making the film, because I did want it to have this authenticity, and I wanted to have an actual amputee actor, playing that role. So that was my mission. And then I said, okay, I'm not even going to make this film if I can't do it with a real amputee actor. But then setting that mountain, in front of myself, then I had to go on this journey of casting that actually ended up lasting about a year and a half, a little bit longer, really, to find August, because it wasn't easy to find, the perfect August. So I started searching at like amputee clinics, children's hospitals, disabled summer camps, Facebook groups for disabled teenagers, all this kind of thing, posting flyers and putting the word out there for the type of person I was looking for. And then even with a little, like 2 or 3 lines from the script that people could submit. And I did get quite a few submissions for the role, but nobody felt right. And I was kind of looking for this dreamy sort of character who could be kind of aloof, almost like one of the references was Sissy Spacek, circa Badlands. So like early 70s Sissy Spacek, but who also could, carry the film and be actually an amputee. So it was kind of a tall order. And I think towards the end of this casting journey, where I just wasn't seeing that August, I was starting to kind of give up and think, you know what, maybe I should just write something else, a different script. And I had a few other ideas. But then I got this email one morning, and she read some of the lines, and I could just look in her eyes, and I knew in that moment, I kind of got tingles down my spine and watery eyes and that kind of thing, because I was like, wow, this is who I imagined when I wrote the script, and I didn't even know it. But when I saw her, it all clicked. So she lived in Queens, New York. So it was about kind of trying to integrate her into the deep South, or this part of town called Spaghetti Junction, which is right outside of Atlanta, where all these freeways cross, and it's this kind of worn down industrial part of town. But I needed to kind of integrate her into this world. So once I found her, it was about then moving her down here for a couple of months, really, and kind of putting her in that house that we shot in, to bring her into this world and, you know, dream there and sleep there and eat there and feel this place and become August, who would have grown up in this neighborhood.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned that because I never would have thought that. You know, I thought as actors you're just acting. So you move to whatever location you're going to, and you know, and you just do the part. What do you think was it that I guess needed to be taught, or she needed to kind of feel comfortable with about her environment?
Well, I think, yeah, the main thing is that she had no on-camera experience. I don't even think she had done like a high school play. So for me, I knew, you know, she wasn't a professional actor, and I feel like when you're not working with professional actors, it's almost like you want to limit the acting required. So for me, it was about her. She already had, you know, this authenticity she could draw on of you know, being an amputee, and her experiences. She was an action, you know, she's a teenager, she's an amputee. So these things she could bring. So then it was about, how do I limit her having to act, would be to just move her here and put her in this world as much as possible. So even the guy, Cam McCarg, who plays her dad, he lived in Los Angeles. So it was about bringing him here as well and putting them together in that house and kind of trying to create this family dynamic between them in that specific neighborhood. So they really already started to develop a little bit of a chemistry between them. So there was less acting and more just kind of being themselves and just letting the story kind of unfold.
Okay, so I'm pretty blown away because I just assumed she was an actress, and I guess this is as method as you get then, because
Yeah.
the performance is incredible. Just the fact that she is the lead, she is in pretty much the entire movie, probably 95% of it,
Right.
and she just pulls it off so naturally, and so. Okay, so Meisner beware. So let me ask you also. Let's see the we talked a little bit about this before going out, but you're currently on the festival circuit, and you were at Austin, and I just kind of want to hear the story about that. You know, they were the only festival to kind of be in person last year, kind of in between, because believe me, I've been to a lot. I've been to nothing but virtual festivals
Yeah.
since the pandemic. So what was that like, and what was it like seeing your film on the big screen?
Yeah, it was incredible, really, because yeah, we were very lucky to be invited to Austin, which was, you know, one of the only in-person festivals. I think we caught this brief window between the different, you know, COVID variants, where there was this kind of moment where people sort of were optimistic, and I think we're optimistic again now. But I think there was a before, you know, Omicron or whatever. I think yeah, we tried to open up again, so I was able to see my film on the big screen. So I shot this film in the summer of 2019, and it was also, you know, working on this micro budget and everything. So we were working very slowly, and then I did all the post in London, but it all had to be done. I was originally going to go over there and be able to, you know, wrap it up in a few months. But then when coronavirus started and everything, it all had to go remote. So I was doing all my posts from, you know, the VFX, color grade, edit, sound design, everything through Zoom. So I had really only been seeing, you know, pretty compressed versions kind of on a Zoom screen. So yeah, to then take this thing that had lived on hard drives for so long and just been this kind of internet art piece basically that I was creating for so long, to then take it out and see it, you know, 2K and a sonic experience, really feeling the vibrations of the bass. And this the score was created by Health, which is a band that I've been a huge fan of for a very long time, and they've done some video game soundtracks like Grand Theft Auto and Max Payne and that kind of thing. So they brought their sonic atmospheres and intensity to the film score, which is this kind of unsettling, bassy, drony kind of ambient experience that captures the kind of industrial feel of the world where the story takes place. And I hadn't really felt that atmosphere yet, you know, through my little Apple iPhone or earpods, whatever they're called. So to experience it in, you know, surround sound in a theater, it added a new layer to the film that for me, it was like my first time really experiencing that. And it was very cool to be yeah, that collective experience that we get, right, of seeing cinema with a group of people and experiencing a story together was pretty cool. And now it's been a few months, so I'm pretty excited to see the next stop of being able to experience that again.
Yeah, I mean, they've been talking about, our tablets and our screens and our television being the new normal, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I dear God, hope it's not.
yeah,
Movies have to be seen in a large room, great sound, and with a lot of other people. And there's just no other way to do it. And I think it's a disservice to indie filmmakers in that way.
yeah,
And I mean, congratulations! This is such a great first film.
yeah.
And
Thank you.
can't are you working on anything else, or are you just kind of on the ride of Spaghetti Junction at the moment?
It's strange and maybe not the smartest thing, but I just sort of made this film, and I was able to piecemeal a budget together and make this using a lot of favors and things to make it happen. But I never really had like a distribution sort of thing figured out, which is smarter to kind of have that figured out before you even start shooting, I guess. But it was really about just creating a film and putting my heart into it and just putting it out to the festivals. And we're starting to get some momentum because of that, and certain festivals are inviting us and stuff. So it's been exciting. But yeah, I definitely have ideas, and I've learned so much from making this film about what I want to explore further with characters and how to approach things that yeah, I've got a couple of scripts going on right now, and hopefully I'll be able to make them in the future. So
Well,
we'll see. Yeah.
that's amazing. Oh, again, congratulations. You can see Spaghetti Junction is currently on the film festival circuit, and yeah, hopefully the whole world will be able to see it
That'd be
soon.
nice. Yeah, I hope so
All right.
too.
Well, thanks, Kirby. Thanks for joining the Film Threat podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.